Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Gunpowder and Freedom. So it is a crappy, rainy Friday morning. We backed our start time up for work by an hour, so I figured I'd take advantage of that, come up and get to work on this next set of countertops I have. Now these ones are a little bit different. The homeowner said, we want them just plain gray, we want them to look like concrete, we don't really want anything fancy. And this is part of the reason why I like concrete countertops so much, is because even something as simple as that, they always turn out different. They always turn out really unique looking, whether it's the shade of gray, the amount of air pockets we get in it, or in this case, the lack of air pockets we get in them, those little cavities that get filled in with our cream coating. They always turn out different. The design's always different. People have different tastes, different styles. So I really like doing them because very rarely there's really no two sets that are the same. So I'll take you guys through what makes these ones different. Now they're already poured. They're ready to flip and polish. You've seen the pouring process now a couple times. For instance, my friend's hearth that I did, if you missed that one, here's a link to it. And then I think it was like a 4-part series because, again, the process of these is so unbelievably long. I did a set of countertops for friends of mine and Rachel, her office building. If you missed that one, here's part 1. You guys can go ahead and check those out if you want to. But anyways, I'll show you what we have today. Okay, so this is it. It's a relatively smaller set. This piece back here is a piece by itself in the homeowner's office. He's looking for just a top to go right on top of, just some cabinetry. This piece and this piece, they are going to connect to make an L. This piece of pink blue board, insulation board, whatever you want to call it, is actually for a sink. Now it's a drop-in sink, so it's a little bit easier than an undermount sink. I don't have to polish the inside edge. So that's what that is. This edge here butts into right here on this piece, and then here we have the backsplash. Now I always make my backsplash a little bit longer and I cut it down to size after it's polished. That way if I get a bad edge or something like that, I have some room to kind of trim it and make it work. So I'm going to go ahead, and while I wait for somebody to get here, I'm going to get the backsplashes flipped and get to work on those. So while I have the hand polisher hooked up, I'm going to go ahead and hit around the skinny sides of where the sink is dropping in. We don't want to use our big DS301 polisher on this because it's going to be too much weight. There's not a lot of surface there, so we'll end up just cracking it. So we'll use this. So now that we are done with our hand polisher hitting this skinny section, as well as our backsplashes up here, I have the 200 pads on our DS301 polisher. This way it's going to do minimal as far as ripping open all the pores. We're trying to keep this all pretty much monotoned. I did explain to the homeowner that it's almost impossible to do that the way we do our countertops. They said that's fine, a little variation isn't bad, but you know, keep it minimal. So that's why I'm using the 200s. Okay, so everything's polished on top, and then I went ahead and polished the sides with our 200 grit polishing pads. Again, just to make them nicer for the cream coat that I have mixed up. I took the air hose, blew off all of the excess water that was still locked in the pores. So these things are pretty dry. A little bit of moisture, but that's no big deal. With that being said, whenever you put the cream coat on now, it's not really going to loosen up because it's not going to have that much water to pull up out of the countertop. So you can mix this up a little bit tighter, and what that'll actually do is that'll help us out with the finish. That's going to create less room and less moisture that's going to pull this cream coat into these pores and make them sink. So we're going to get our I'm blanking on what this thing's even called. Our grout, not sponge, but this thing. Wow. It's Friday, so cut me some slack. We'll slop that on like this. Set it on, it'll be fine right here. And then just take it and work it around. Make sure you try to fill up as many of these pores as you can. Just like you're grouting a floor. Okay, so this piece is all pretty much done and cream coated. Whenever you're using this, you kind of want to try to work it every which way, just to ensure that all of the pores, as much as they can be, are filled in. It actually loosened up a little bit more than I thought it was going to. I had some residual water in those pores. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and jump to another piece and start cream coating that, let this one kind of dry up a little bit, and then give it a final scrape. Now you can see, actually, just from the amount of time it took me to do that one, how much the cream coat in the cup tightened up. Hey everybody, so it's Saturday morning, like 5 o'clock. Wanted to come up and get these things polished and finished up. Rachel has to work tomorrow on Mother's Day, so just wanted to spend as much time with her today as I can. But basically, the cream coat is good and hard, so we're going to go ahead and start with our hand polisher on the backsplash, as well as the skinny section around the sink. And then we'll switch over to our DS301, get the rest of the stuff polished, and then hit all of the edges with the hand polishing pad. Okay, so all of the tops are polished, they all look good. All of the pores are nice and filled. So now we have to take our 200 grit polishing pad and go around and clean up all of the faces and the edges that you're going to be able to see. I'm going to grab the 50 grit polishing pads just so I can smooth out the sides of the countertops that are going to be up against the wall so they sit nice and flat too. All right, everybody, that is it for right now, I think. Polished them, everything looked good. So we gave them a quick cleaning with the power washer, just wanted to blow off all the topical debris. Then I used our air compressor to blow all the surface water off, just to help get these things to dry as quickly as they can. The way they're looking right now, I'm thinking I should be able to do the first coat of sealer a little bit later this afternoon before the Pens game. Go Pens, come on, we're going into this this home stretch 1-1 against the Rangers, so don't let me down. Anyways, that's gonna be it for right now. So gonna head home, spend some time with Rachel and Eleanor, and see you guys up here in a little bit. Okay, so here they are. It is Sunday evening. The countertops are looking good and dry. Now you'll notice around the edges there's like a whitish kind of residue. All of that is just kind of like residual slurry from whenever we were polishing. Right now what we're going to do is we're going to take these tack rags, just get those at your local hardware store, and wipe everything down really well. The cleaner these are, the better the sealer is going to stick. Okay, so now I filled up this little sprayer with just some regular water-based H2O Clear Guard. It's made by Butterfield. Just going to go ahead and lightly spray everything on. You want to make sure it's nice and even. I like this stuff for things like these. The homeowners said they wanted more of a modern kind of rustic look, so that's why they went with the plain gray. They said they don't want too much shine, so this stuff, if you do it right, will give you that kind of minimal sheen. Oh, and it's thinner, so it'll kind of spread out on its own and kind of self-level a little bit nicer than an epoxy based. So if you haven't seen any of my other concrete countertop sealing videos, this particular sealer, it dries crystal clear. The reason it looks kind of like that milky bluish color is strictly so you can see where you're applying it when you're putting it on. As it dries, as it penetrates into the concrete and dries up, it's going to look clear, but it's going to still bring out all of the color in our concrete. So we'll give this the overnight. We'll come up and we'll seal it again first thing in the morning. And another thing I wanted to point out is that we're doing a drop-in sink. So the sink is going to sit right on top of here. So I'm leaving our insulation board in where the sink goes as well as where the faucet goes. It's going to give me a lot of strength and support during transportation. So if you were wondering that, that's why. So everything in transportation went really well. That blue board gave us a lot of protection on those thinner sides. There was no cracking or anything. When we got there, me and Stan, he was helping me with this install. We just wanted to get everything in and set so that we could get it done. It was a pretty late day at work, so I forgot to set the camera up to show us carrying everything in. But I have to shim the countertops. Just the one edge was a little bit off, so I shimmed that. Not much, it was maybe 1/8 of an inch. Then I went through and I'm taping where I need caulking at, which would be up against the wall, as well as our seam, and Stan is taping underneath on the cabinetry so we don't get caulking everywhere. Even though I'm using tape, I try to make my beads of caulking as nice as possible. This way when I spray it down with Windex and wipe my finger across it, there is minimal caulk that is coming off, as well as the Windex prevents it from sticking to my fingers too much. Now that the caulk is put in behind the countertop up against the wall, I can do the seam. The seam is shimmed, everything is nice and even, so I go ahead and tape it off and run my bead of caulk down it, spray it with Windex, and smooth it out. And now for the last step. I have to knock out the insulation board so I can mount the sink and the faucet, and then I can give the countertops a good cleaning with just regular Windex. And then this one's a wrap. Alright everybody, that is gonna do it. Countertops were formed, polished, installed. You know, whenever Stan and I got there, we were kind of in a hurry, you know, just worked a pretty long day for my dad. Wanted to get the countertop set and installed, and forgot to put the camera up, so sorry about that. But if you wanted to see any more about the pouring process or anything, you can check out one of my previous videos on concrete countertops or the concrete hearth that I made for my friend Wayne. But yeah, homeowners loved them, everybody was happy, and I am home now, so I get to see Rachel and Eleanor. So thank you guys for tuning back in to another episode of Gunpowder and Freedom. If you liked what you saw, please click like and subscribe. We're supposed to have some beautiful weather this week, so I'm looking forward to getting back up to the range, doing some shooting here whenever I get a couple minutes of free time. But we do have some meetings and stuff going on over the property for our house, so really looking forward to showing you guys that process. So thanks again, we'll see you.